Neo Case.
Hey guys, welcome to another video. Mr. Neo Case here. Have you ever wondered what do the origins of the most popular partner dances in the world have in common? Yes, I know that question is a mouthful. However, I find it very, very fascinating, and I want to share this fascination with you. And I want to share my journey over the past couple of years researching this particular question and the questions that I even asked before I got to this particular question. So questions leading to other questions. And I want to share how this question has evolved in my head over the past couple of years, being able to be a part of different dance scenes and learning about their histories and being curious about the similarities that I began to find in each of these partner dances. Before we get into defining the popular partner dances in the world, I feel like it's really important to talk about how I'm currently viewing partner dancing. And I'm viewing currently two main spheres that coexist. One sphere is definitely more on the cultural street style side of dancing, to where you have kind of dancing in the streets, in backyards, among family members, at cookouts and barbecues and family celebrations of things of that nature. There's definitely partner dancing that occurs in that spectrum that deserves to be recognized. And on the other side, you have this sphere where there are dance studios, there are weekenders, there's festivals, and these festivals can vary in size from maybe in just that particular state to international congresses where people are flying from all over the world, and they're in big hotels, and there's concerts and performances and things of that nature. So two different worlds of partner dancing, but I still feel like both of these spheres coexist under the umbrella of partner dancing. So one common thread that has been popping up over and over again as I've explored Kizomba, Lindy hop, Bachata, Salsa, and more is this common thread of African roots in all of these partner dances and how they helped develop what we now see today with so many partner dances across so many continents. So the question that I asked at the beginning of the video, what do the origins of the most popular partner dances have in common? That is the question that is on my mind that we're going to talk about in this video. But I asked myself several questions before I even got to this particular question, and I want to share those with you because I think that that's really important to set the stage of how we even got to this particular question. Yeah. So the first question is, what was the first partner dance to begin with? Through some digging around on the internet, it appears that the first partner dance was the waltz, which came from the Renaissance era. And the Renaissance era, I believe, happened around the 1300s to the 1700s. And these were medieval ballroom dances. At the same time, that was what was happening in Europe. So another question that I have that is kind of still unanswered is what was happening in other parts of the world around the time period of the Renaissance era, particularly in the continent of Africa. And unfortunately, that information isn't as easy to find, but I will definitely keep searching. And speaking of searching, I actually got this book from a friend for my birthday, and it is called An African Dance, an Artistic, Historical, Philosophical Inquiry. I haven't read it yet, but I will definitely do like a book review or something like that if that's something that you guys are interested in seeing about my findings in this book, to kind of answer that question that I mentioned before, to see what was happening during those times before colonization. Yeah. Also, if you have any recommendations of books or resources or documentaries that might help answer this question, feel free to link those in the comments. I'm always trying to learn more and more about this particular subject. The next question that I asked is, what are the most popular dances in the world? Like I mentioned before, we have these two main spheres of partner dancing, from a more cultural street side of things, and then also dance studio festival world. Yeah. So how do you even measure the most popular partner dances in the world? What metrics would you use to measure that type of thing? From my biased perspective of what I see around the world, in my opinion today, I feel like the most popular partner dances are Salsa, Bachata, Kizomba, Urban Kiz, Brazilian Zouk, Cumbia, Tango, West Coast Swing, and honorable mention to Kompa and Caribbean Zouk. If you have any other recommendations of what you feel should also be on this list, let me know in the comments below. And a sub question to the question, what are the most popular partner dances in the world, is which of these popular partner dances have African roots, and how influential were those African roots in the inception of these dances? And the next question that I asked myself was, if so many of these partner dances have African roots, why doesn't the continent of Africa have more partner dances coming from the continent compared to other continents? It's not as if the continent of Africa does not dance, but we do more solo dancing. And as you can see, there's definitely more like a traditional ceremonial side of African dancing. And if you've been listening to Afro beats in more modern times, that has definitely been a rise to popularity with artists like Burna Boy that have been pushing Afrobeats to mainstream music. And I see an interesting parallel with behavior here in the United States among Black Americans. We do a lot of solo dancing, but not particularly a lot of partner dancing. I find that really interesting that the same parallel exists on the continent of Africa. And that's going to be a video that I'm going to be making in the future. So if you are interested in this topic so far, of nerding out on the history of partner dances in the world, then make sure that you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be putting out weekly videos on creativity, fundamentals, history, musicality, all these kind of things as it pertains to kids and beyond. So make sure that you smack that subscribe button and hit the like button, share the video, and you will not miss out. So those were the 3 questions that I asked myself to get to the current understanding that I have right now, to the question that we're even talking about in this video. What do the origins of the most popular partner dances have in common? So before we go off and talk about each one of these partner dances individually, I do want to give a disclaimer. Hey, I'm not a dance historian. I'm not an ethnomusicologist. I'm not an archaeologist or anything like that. These topics definitely interest me. However, I am still learning. So if there's any misinformation that I'm sharing unintentionally, definitely let me know in the comments and I will make corrections in future videos. I don't want to let the fear of making a mistake or misquoting something or having not the full picture of a particular idea prevent me from creating videos like these. So this is a journey. This is my current level of understanding. I am not the all master knowing of all the partner dances in the world, but this is my current level of understanding, and that's what I want to share with you in this video. So let's go. And I do want to let you know that I'm going to be sharing little snippets of the partner dances that I'm going to be listing here. Each one of these partner dances can probably be its own documentary with the amount of history, and it's very complex and lots of things are overlapping. So just keep that in mind. These are snippets of history. It's not the whole full picture. And remember, the question that we talked about is just addressing the origins of the dance and the commonalities among the different partner dances. So let's go. So we all know that all people come from Africa according to DNA studies, and we have to start there with the origins of the partner dances. So that means that we are starting in the country of Angola, where Semba and Kizomba originate from. This is probably the partner dance that I have the most information on, as I have been a Kizomba instructor since 2014. So I have a lot of context, and with my curious mind, I like exploring different things. Yeah. So the history of Kizomba is really particular because geographically, Kizomba Semba is definitely African, 100%. However, Angola was a Portuguese colony for 400 years, from 1575 to 1975, when they won their independence. When they won their independence, another interesting thing that happened is Fidel Castro aided a particular group in Angola. I believe it was the MPLA. I'll put the name description here on the screen so you can see what that stood for. But that particular group in Angola was trying to reach power. Castro supported that particular group, and I believe Castro sent 25,000 Cuban troops to Angola. And they did not just bring their guns, they brought their music and their food and their culture with them as well. And evidence of this is that there are a lot of Semba songs that have salsa in them. I will link some in the comments so you can check those out. And that's really interesting because Semba is considered a traditional dance of Angola. However, that traditional dance was mixed with another culture even before Kizomba became really popular. And the next interesting tidbit of information about the history of Kizomba is an equation that gets pushed around a lot that's really oversimplified, but we'll use it for the sake of this video, is that Semba plus Caribbean Zouk equals Kizomba. And what I want to focus on is Caribbean Zouk. Caribbean Zouk is what? An art form that was created by Black people in Africa. Where did those Black people come from? From Africa. So Africans were taken from Africa to the Caribbean. They created a new art form, and then that made it back to the motherland, and that influenced another traditional dance, and that gave birth to a new art form of music and dance. I find this particular piece of information very interesting as well, and that will be a future video that I'll be putting out. So make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss it. To finish off Kizomba, we can definitely see African influence, Portuguese influence, Cuban influence, and Caribbean influence. So lots of different influences here. So it definitely has African roots, but as you can see, it's been mixed with other things as well, including European influence. From Africa, let's go ahead and travel to South America, and we'll start at the south of South America in Argentina. And if you know Argentina, you know Buenos Aires. And if you know Buenos Aires, you know that tango is huge in Buenos Aires. Do they have African roots in tango? There's actually a documentary that was created called Tango Negro. I tried purchasing it, but I couldn't get the payment system to work. That's definitely a documentary that I want to watch to learn more. From the searches that I've done online about the history of tango, there seems to be several dances that have influenced modern day tango. And those three influences are Lunfardo, the Milonga, and Candombe, that have a lot of African roots in those three dances that led to the creation of tango. I remember even reading a particular article about how a lot of Afro-Argentinians were trying to share more of their history to be recognized more as contributors to the culture in Argentina. So we can definitely check tango off the list for having African, European, and indigenous influences in the inception of that particular dance. Moving up from Argentina, we're going to hit Brazil. And if you've been in the partner dance scene for the past 2 years, you know that Brazilian Zouk has really grown over the past 2 years in a lot of different countries around the world. And the history of Brazilian Zouk definitely comes from Lambada, and Lambada definitely has roots in African culture as well. One of those dances that really influenced Lambada was Carimbo. There's a lot of history there, but like I said, for the sake of the video, we just want to highlight that the dance definitely does have African, European, and indigenous roots that helped create what we now know as Brazilian Zouk. African music has made a huge impact on many aspects of Brazilian music and dance, from samba, funk, Lambada, and capoeira. I also want to highlight that Brazil was also a Portuguese colony, as was Angola. So the official language in both of these countries, Angola in Africa and Brazil in South America, is Portuguese. And in Angola, there's a dance called Semba, and in Brazil, there's a dance called Samba. And the only difference between the spelling of those dances is the E and the A, and I find that really, really interesting. I hope to learn more about their connected histories in the future. Before we leave South America, we have to make one more stop, and this is going to be the third stop in the continent of South America. So that's really interesting. 3 of the most popular partner dances in the world have origins in South America. In Colombia, the most popular dance that affects that one is actually not salsa, it is cumbia. Cumbia is a huge dance that has spread across the globe, especially in Latin America, in Central America, and also in Mexico. And the African influence gives the rhythm the drums, while the indigenous bass flute blends in the melody. And the European influence gives some variations in the melodies, the choreography, and the costumes of the dancers. Cumbia is definitely one of these partner dances that's not taught in dance studios. You don't see festivals that are Cuban festivals. You don't see professional Cuban dance partnerships or anything like that. But I do know that it's very, very popular among the Latin community. And this definitely falls across that first sphere of partner dancing that I mentioned before. That's more on the cultural street side of things. I definitely feel like it deserves to be mentioned as one of the most popular partner dances in the world. Continuing up north from South America, we're going to hit the Caribbean and we're going to stop at Cuba and Puerto Rico. And we have salsa that is definitely one of the most popular partner dances in the world. There's festivals, there's dance partnerships, there's competitions for salsa. So this is definitely one of the most popular partner dances in the world as far as mainstream media is concerned. And I feel like it definitely exists on both sides of the spectrum. There's the dance, studio, festival world as well. And I also feel like there's a rich culture just in the community where you have married couples for 20 years dancing salsa and also little kids dancing salsa with their aunts and uncles. And if you've been around the salsa scene at any particular time, then you know there's a lot of information that is shared about the Afro-Cuban influences and the orishas and lots of history there. We're not going to get into the history of salsa, but for the sake of the video, we definitely know that salsa has African and European influence in its histories, and that has brought forth so many different styles of what we know in salsa today. All right, and if you are a part of the salsa scene, then you definitely know about the bachata scene. The origin of bachata comes from the Dominican Republic, which is also in the Caribbean. The predecessor of bachata is actually merengue. And if you take a look at the history of merengue, you'll definitely see influences to where merengue was danced more of a solo dance, and then it made its way to become more of a partner dance. And I find this very interesting as well because this was definitely due to European influence as well, but you also cannot deny the African roots with the drums that you find in merengue. And I've done a podcast with Adam Taub, who has done a documentary about the history of bachata. I will link that podcast below and some of his work. If you're interested in learning more about the history of bachata, I would definitely recommend Adam Taub, Carlos Cinta, and also Edwin Ferreira with Areta Arts. I know those individuals have done a lot of work to put out the history and the culture that you find in the Dominican Republic. And before we leave the island of the Dominican Republic, a lot of people might not know this. The island where the Dominican Republic is actually shared with another country, which is Haiti. So on the eastern side of the island, you have the Dominican Republic, and on the western side of the island, you have Haiti. I feel like Haiti deserves honorable mention because there is a dance that is super popular or becoming more popular in the kids world, which is called Kompa. There have been so many different remixes that have been coming out as well, and lots of people are becoming addicted to the guyad. I feel like this particular dance as well also has tons of African roots. Like I mentioned before, in the Dominican Republic, that particular country was a Spanish colony, so they speak Spanish there, and Haiti was a French colony. And so here you have another example of a country that has African and European influence at the hub of another popular partner dance. And our last stop moving up north is going to be making it to North America in the United States. In the United States, the partner dance that was born here was swing or Lindy hop. And this is definitely a Black American dance. There is actually a video that I came across that was created by Laura Glaze. I'll link that video below. Super awesome video that shares the history of slavery and segregation and how that partner dance came to be. Interesting dance that I found when I was doing some Googling was the dance called the cakewalk. The cakewalk was a dance where the slaves would mimic the high class whites, the high society whites, and they mimic the way that they dance. That dance actually brought forth the creation of swing that has now so many branches, from Lindy hop to West Coast swing, East Coast swing, Chicago style stepping, blues, and more. So that's all under the swing umbrella. Another instance where we have African and European influence that created another partner dance that has become one of the most popular partner dances in the world. As someone who was born here in the US, my dad is Nigerian. It's a very interesting notion to consider that Black Americans were very influential in the creation of Lindy hop and swing. But when you take a look at present day dancing, social dancing isn't really a huge part of our culture here in the US. So it's interesting to kind of see this parallel in the history and then see kind of like the distancing from it when it comes to present day Black culture. So that is a list of the most popular partner dances that I am aware of in the world and their origins. And they all have very similar origins of African, European, and or indigenous influence that gave birth to the partner dances that we now enjoy today. Knowing this information makes me feel very, very torn. On one side, I do feel very bittersweet because I know that colonialism was the engine behind the mixing of these two cultures, especially the African and European cultures. I feel that the Atlantic slave trade can be considered to be one of the world's greatest tragedies. So many millions of people died being captured, then having to make it across the ocean and then getting to all of these places that I listed before, South America, the Caribbean, and the US. These are where all the slave ships were going and bringing these people to their enslaved lives. And I feel like that's very, very sad. And it's really heavy to consider just the mass quantity of slave ships that left Africa and made its way over to the countries that I listed before. And this is definitely something that cannot be swept under the rug, especially here in 2020 after George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor. Equal rights, human rights is still something that we are fighting for here in the States. And I'm pretty sure there are other places in the world where Black people are fighting for their rights as well in their particular countries. It's tough. How do you balance knowing the heavy tragedy of slavery and colonialism with zooming out and taking a sense of joy and gratitude for the connections that are happening across the world, combining those into one moment to be present? I'm curious to hear your thoughts of how you navigate both of those sides. There are definitely times this year where I feel myself getting very down and angry and feeling heavy about the darkness of slavery and colonialism, and knowing that we're still struggling for like basic human rights. And on the other side of things, I do feel happy that I am in the partner dancing scene. And I feel grateful that I'm able to connect with other people like me and who aren't like me. And I feel like that's energy that we need moving into 2021 after a crazy 2020. So on the other side of that coin, I do feel a sense of happiness and a sense of solace knowing that partner dancing is and continues to enrich our world today by connecting us as human beings, regardless of skin color, age, body type, the language that you speak, your nationality. Partner dancing is a driving force in our world today that is uniting us. This is something that we can't sweep under the rug either. Going back to those two spheres of partner dancing that we talked about before, the cultural and street side of dancing, and then also taking the dance studio, dance festival world. If you were to put those together and combine all the people that are dancing a partner dance in different continents around the world, I feel like that is a massive uniting force in the world that connects us as human beings. I'm curious to hear your thoughts in the comments. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that I shared this information in a easy to understand way. I'm definitely going to be making a commitment to put out more intellectual content around dance, because that's definitely something that speaks to my soul. And I want to be putting out these ideas and conversations because I feel like they're very important for us to move forward. So thank you guys so much for watching the video. Make sure you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.